We're just near the French Senate where protesters have been clashing with police. They're here to send a message to the politicians inside who are still debating, arguing this country's change to pension laws. Clashing, the police have been using some sort of pepper spray. But the protesters here are determined to send their message, despite the fact that politicians say these laws are going to happen by the end of the week. President Sarkozy says you must retire 2 years later.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? If it's only 2 years and the rest of the world already
Because
does
we
this?
know that for now it's 2 years, but it's going to be 4 years and then 6 years, and it's always like that.
Because it's a right. It's social. It's social. And it's a fight of my father, my grandfather.
Another day of clashes and standoffs between the police here in Paris and students from a high school in Nanterre, a Parisian suburb. This has been going on for several days now, as it has in a number of towns and cities across Paris as students protest their anger over the plans to change the country's pension system. Here we've got the police who have been pretty reserved so far, although they have been using tear gas quite liberally. And then up here, several hundred students have been throwing rocks, smashing up local property, windows, cars, that sort of thing. It is probably fair to say that much of those students do not care too much for the detail of pension reform. The students that have been involved in these sorts of protests have been divided into two groups: those who feel genuinely politically connected, those for whom this seems to be a pretty good excuse to generally show some anger, and they're usually in disaffected areas like here in Nanterre. The French government hopes that when the pension reforms are passed by the Senate this week, these sorts of clashes, the strikes, the fuel blockades that this country has been dealing with over the last week or so, they hope it will all go away as people accept those laws as a reality. Phil Black, CNN, Paris.